On behalf of our entire family, and on behalf of the 125 delegates in the unbelievable state of Florida, we hereby nominate every single one of them for the greatest president that's ever lived, and that's Donald J. Trump, hereby declaring him the Republican nominee for President of the United States of America.
So that was the moment just a few hours ago that Donald Trump clinched the Republican nomination for president. That came just minutes after Trump posted on social media that he had chosen Ohio Senator J.D. Vance to be his running mate. The Republican National Convention, of course, a who's who of GOP bigwigs, but one prominent Republican will not be there, and that is former Maryland governor and current GOP Maryland U.S. Senate candidate Larry Hogan. Governor Hogan is with us in studio. Thank you so much for taking the time. It's always great to see you. I wanted to just start right off with the attempted assassination of the former president and wanted to get your thoughts on how you feel that's going to change the campaign for both candidates.
Well, first of all, I mean, it was an incredible tragedy, and we're just all thankful that the president is okay. The former president is okay. It was inches away from being a assassination of a former president, which we've reached a terrible point in this country when these are the kinds of things that are happening. I can't really speculate how it's going to affect politically. What I think is important to look at, is it going to give us an opportunity to be an inflection point to turn away from the kind of divisive rhetoric and the angry, toxic politics that have kind of brought us to this moment.
That's what President Biden called for last night with his address.
I think it was a great step in the right direction. Also, President Trump is apparently saying he's changing his speech to talk about uniting America. So the fact that we have both the Democratic and Republican nominee and the president and the former president both saying that they're going to change, I think is a step in the right direction. And I hope that they and the other folks in both parties will actually take that to heart and lower the temperature and get us, because I really think we're a tinder box right now. I think we've got to really make sure that we do the right things at this moment in time.
Let's talk about you. You're a lifelong Republican. You will not be at the Republican National Convention. Why?
Well, I never really intended to go. There are no undecided Maryland voters out there in Milwaukee. I'm busy all over the state. We've got a big veterans event tomorrow, and we've got things this week. We're rolling out a veterans platform. There's nothing really for me to do out there in Milwaukee, but I'm going to continue to focus on the state of Maryland.
Just in the past few hours, former President Trump has selected Ohio Senator J.D. Vance to be his running mate. If Trump were elected, and God forbid something were to happen to him within the first 180 days, do you think J.D. Vance is someone who would be ready to lead on day one?
I don't know J.D. Vance. I don't think we've ever had the chance to meet. I know that he and I don't agree on a lot of issues. But look, I respect him for his service to the country in the military, and he seems to be a smart guy. His book was pretty good. I chaired the Appalachian Regional Commission, and he had the book, The Hillbilly Elegy, that was talking about growing up in that kind of an environment. But I don't. We disagree on policy. I don't want to speculate. The news is news to me, just like it is to everybody else.
Right.
And I'm hoping that he also, will make sure he tones down the rhetoric, and that he has some things to say that are going to be helping us to unite the country.
But he did come out within the first few hours after the shooting and put blame on President Biden.
Well, I thought that was a mistake, and that's why I said I sure hope that he takes what President Biden and President Trump are now saying to heart. I think everybody on both sides needs to stop using inflammatory rhetoric like that.
Let's talk about policy. The Republican National Convention is obviously not only a time to celebrate the nominee, it's also a time to mold the Republican platform. Can you talk about where your views diverge with those of the Republican platform? I know that abortion is one of them because that's a repeated talking point of this campaign, but where else, policy-wise, are you different?
Well, quite frankly, I haven't looked at the Republican platform. I'm not sure anyone else has either. I was a delegate to 6 conventions, and really I'm not sure I read the entire platform. This one seems to be pretty light on policy. I don't think it really is going to matter much. I don't necessarily agree with some of the leaders of my party on a lot of issues, but I'm somebody that's always been I have my own platform. My platform is going to be represent all the people of Maryland, and do whatever I think is right. And I think I've shown over 8 years a willingness and the ability and the courage to stand up to my own party and my own, whether it's President Trump or President Biden or the Democrats or the Republicans, I'm going to do whatever I think is right.
To that point, I need your thoughts on this, and we're going to have a more wide-ranging piece coming up at 6 o'clock with our investigative reporter Eric Flack. The Conservative Heritage Foundation, they've published this document, Project 2025. It's framed as a roadmap for President Trump's second term. I'm sure you've seen it. It's causing concern among Democrats in Maryland whose support you will need to get elected. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I've said I don't, I haven't read the 900 pages of this, seemingly kind of crazy document that they've thrown together, but I've seen enough that I totally disagree with, that I say that I don't support this. I think it's a terrible idea. I mean, I'm sure buried in there may be a few ideas that I can agree with. I don't know, but there are an awful lot of things that I think are bad. I'm going to stand up, and I mean, even Trump. I don't know that I don't know the details of it, but he's even disavowed the document. So, but it's certainly not something I would support. I will stand up and try to do whatever I can to stop some of that.
The last thing I want to ask you, Governor, is that your opponent, Angela Alsobrooks, is beginning to frame this campaign as battle for the 51st senator, saying that this isn't only about Angela or Larry. This is about a majority Republican Senate or a majority Democrat Senate. You told me when we spoke in April, you didn't think that one of the bluest states in the country was going to decide the Senate, but it might. So how can you convince Democrats and independents in Maryland that a Senate Republican majority might be in their best interest?
Well, I'm not sure about what's going to happen with the majority or not, but I know that I'm going to Washington not for one party, but the only reason I've decided to run because I'm so fed up with the divisive politics in Washington. As I just said, I'm willing to stand up to both parties, and I think what we desperately need in Washington are leaders who are willing to do that. My whole focus of my career has been on bringing people together, on trying to find middle ground where we can all stand together, on compromise. And if there's never been a time when we've needed that more in Washington. And with all due respect to my opponent, who I like her and respect her, she's going to be a rubber stamp for the partisan agenda. I've proven that I'm not that kind of a person, and I think having me down there, I believe I can be a uniter and somebody that can reach across the aisle and get things done. I'm the exact same guy they voted for twice and the exact same guy that was governor for 8 years.
Well, Governor, it's a long road to November. Wish you luck. Very much appreciate your time and coming in with us today.
Thank you so much.
Okay. All right, we'll, of course, continue to follow all of the news coming out of the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee. It runs through Thursday. Look for our reporting right here on WUSA 9 and streaming on WUSA 9 Plus. Top